figure by the time this thing processes, we'll be live. So it'll be 8 o'clock, whatever. Well, hello there. Welcome everyone in internet land. Oh,
What's going on, brother?
not much. How about yourself?
It's been a good day until I decided to fucking leave the house earlier. Almost ended up in a wreck a couple times. Some asshole decided to run a red light, and I had to slam on my brakes just keep from T-boning his ass.
Shit. Oh, glad you're safe.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I almost didn't do a chat tonight, but I figured, we're almost at least wait till I get to like double digits before I decide to skip a week or postpone a day or something. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so yeah, I almost got into a wreck. Fuck, what was it? Was it last weekend? No, it was the weekend before when I was coming home from because I was gonna head up north and visit some people and like do some stuff, but the turnpike was closed down. So instead, I went to like a local gun shop, and that's when I picked up my bread and everything. And I was heading home, and because not only was the turnpike part of the turnpike shut down for like 30 miles, but my exit is right where the turnpike meets I-95. Like it's literally the last exit before it meets there. And I-95 southbound, they closed an entire lane for God knows what. And so it was just a standstill of traffic for like 10 miles. And like you'd be driving along, and then all of a sudden, like everyone slams on their brakes, and you stop, and you're sitting there for 5 minutes, and then you're driving along again, and then stop.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of those times, like, and I was keeping enough distance that I could stop, but not so much that like people were just going to be cutting in. And guy in front of me slams on his brakes and like does one of those like cuts, and like he cuts into like the pull off lane. Yeah. And the guy in front of him was even slamming. I just locked up my brakes. I'm just like, here we go. And like all my shit in the passenger seat like hits the dash. And thankfully I didn't run into him. But I'm just like, Jesus Christ. It's just because people don't pay attention. Yeah, it's like stupid fucking people. They don't pay attention. People don't know how to drive. Like I'm legitimately nervous for the winter time because I mean I'm used to Arizona, like people not knowing how to drive in the rain and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But like I'm back here, and like people here don't know how to drive in the rain and shit. I'm just like, fuck. So I'm only waiting for winter time when it's snow and stuff, and people are, whatever. But we'll see. So
I think it should be mandatory when you take driver's ed and shit that they teach you how to drive in all conditions.
Like those defensive. Yeah, like those not defensive driving, but like you know how they do for like the police courses and stuff. I'm not saying police officers are good drivers because they're not, but we have like the water slaloms and stuff like that. Because like my mother's like the same way. By the way, hey Bjorn and hey Just 10B. My mother's the same way. Like there's been times we've been driving, she'll hit like a patch of ice or snow or water or something and start to lose a little bit of, like not even full on lose control, just like lose a little bit of control. And she just, and like closes her eyes and does one of these. I'm just like, the fuck is wrong with you?
That's not good. You got to be able to see what you're doing.
Yeah, no, her idea of like, oh no, it's like, I kind of find it fun when I'm driving in the rain. I hit like a puddle. I start to slide a little bit. I'm like, whoo, yeah. Like,
you hydroplane just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. Not too crazy, but just a little bit. Or like same thing with the snow. Like you go out and it's a blizzard. Like I used to love driving in blizzards because you're not going fast, but you're going just enough that you get a little sideways and stuff. You're like, woohoo, this is fun. And my mother just like even just that little bit, she just panics. It's just like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like closing your eyes and shit ain't gonna resolve the issue. Like,
mm-hmm. I remember this one time. It was probably around 2004 or 5. My mom had to work late. Ended up getting off about 1 o'clock in the morning. She used to work at the hospital, one town over from where I'm at, and she was scared because it was sleeting and snowing, and so I told her I'd come and get her. Let's go pick her up. And she's like, I don't want to leave my car here. Just follow me home. And I'm like, okay, why did I even come then? I'd rather just take you home. But anyways, I'm sitting there following her, and we're on the phone talking because she's scared shitless, and it doesn't bother me because it's not rocket science to fucking drive in any kind of weather condition. It just add a little extra precaution. But I'm sitting there talking to her, and I hit like some black ice, and I just end up starting to do a fucking 180, ends up into a 360, and I'm just spinning and end up into the median on the right hand side, and mom's just fucking freaking out because she said, I'm looking in the rearview mirror and all of a sudden I see headlights and then I don't, and I'm just on the phone like, wee.
Yeah.
I'm only doing like 20, and even if I hit something, it's not gonna hurt. And I'm in a truck, which back then, it was a solid steel truck. It could take a beating.
So nothing's gonna happen to it. That was me with my my old Buick. In just 10B, yeah, I know. Pretty much everywhere you go, people can't drive. It's because like all the transplants, like everyone that can't drive in the state aren't from that state. They're always from another state. And howdy glass 3222. Yeah, when I had my old Buick, because I had an 80s Buick, and that thing, like, I beat the ever living shit out of that car, and it just took a beating. Like I smoked because it was in college. So I had basically like ball tires on the thing. I couldn't afford new tires. And even when I could afford tires, they were used tires.
Yeah.
And I remember my buddy and I, we were going up to his hunting cabin. So I was like, okay, I'll drop my car off at your parents' house. Well, I'll take the truck up because that's 4-wheel drive. Like you needed a pretty good 4-wheel drive to get up there. And obviously the Buick wasn't. And so his parents' house, they owned the property next door. They rented out the house next door, and in front of that house was this old school like stone wall, like old, probably built late 1800s, maybe 1900, like early 1900s. And so his dad's like, hey, you're not going to make it up our driveway, go park over there, because it wasn't on a hill, it was just a flat driveway. So I'm like, okay. So I pull out, head down the road. Here's the driveway. I go to turn into the driveway, and the car's just like, and turned halfway and was just like, nope, this is the direction I'm going. And I wasn't going that fast. I was going maybe maybe 15, 20 miles an hour. I'm just like, well, shit. And like I smoke this stone wall, like go right through it, knock it all over. I'm like, fuck. Threw the car in reverse. It catches. I kept cat litter and stuff in my trunk. So I throw some cat litter under the tires, catch it, back it up. I'm able to get enough traction to actually turn the rest of the way, pull it up into the driveway, park it or whatever. And his dad comes by with the truck. He's like, what'd you do? And I'm like, I'll help you fix it. He's like, damn right you are. And I'm like, I'll be back in the spring. I'll help you fix it. Because there's like bricks under like a foot of snow. Like we're never going to find them all. So as soon as like the snow all melted in the springtime, I went over and helped him put it honestly took us like hour and a half, maybe 2 hours to put everything back together. Because it was like an old school stone wall that wasn't like, you didn't have the, I guess it's like mortar or whatever in it. It's just, you just stacked rocks. That's all you did.
Yeah.
And like shimmed them. So.
Well, at least you're a man of your word, because most people would have been like, yeah, I'll come back and, never see you again.
Oh, no, yeah. I mean, I felt bad about it because I'm like, I didn't, mean to damage his property. So.
Right. No, I would have done the same thing. I would have helped him.
So that's the thing, just 10B. Like, I know you said you don't know how to drive in the snow, but you can drive through Florida rainstorms.
It's not much different.
It's really not much different. All honesty. Like the only difference that you have to really worry about with the snow is the ice underneath. Like,
yep.
Driving through snow is easy. It's that hidden ice underneath, or when they plow everything, it's like all that slop on the road, and you're like, oh, the road's perfectly fine. And it's like, no, it's not, because it's black ice. Yep. So you just got to be smart and be careful. But I mean, the same concept applies. Like as you start to turn, you just do the opposite. Like,
yeah. You start sliding to the right, turn to the left.
Yep. Yep, and coast it off like you're fine. Like.
Mm-hmm. What's up, Bjorn, Justin B, and Glass? Sorry, I didn't say hi a while ago. We were just on a roll talking.
Yeah, just chatting. But Yeah, like I can't believe, and my sister's the same way as my mother. Like they definitely, you could tell they were raised together because my sister's just like, oh my god, like she'll actually like let go of the wheel. I'm just like, I'm not driving. Like I refuse to ride with either one of them, like at all. It's horrible. So,
It's
but
like my brother, uh, right under me, a couple years younger, 2 years younger than me. When he first started driving, oh my god, it took me probably close to 6 years before I'd even feel comfortable riding with him because
yeah,
he would drive with his foot on the accelerator and his foot on the brake. And
my
he'd be that stop, go, stop, go, stop, go. And if he gets scared, he'd double foot the fucking brake and just lock it up.
yep.
And I'm like,
My,
no, I'm not dying. Mm-mm.
yeah, my grandfather was the same way, and I don't know if it was just like because I mean, I was growing up with he passed in 2013, I think 2012, 2013. So he was in his 80s. So I mean, he was old. So maybe it's just because like he was around when cars first came about. I have no idea. But he was the same way. Like he would be driving down the highway and he'd have one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. And it was just like, oh. And it always used to irk my gears because he had an automatic and I think it's just habit because growing up, like when he first had vehicles, most vehicles were manual, and then by the time I was a teenager, like most vehicles are automatic. So, but every time he'd park, he'd rip the e-brake. I'm just like, you don't have to do that. It's in park. Like on a flat surface, you're good, but he'd just do it.
Yeah.
It's just one of those little things. I was just like, it irks me. I don't know why, but maybe because like when I get like we'd go into the house or something, they'd be like, "Oh, I'll go pick up this." I'd be like, "All right, I'll take your car," and like I'd go to hop in the car and be like, "Yep, throw it in the drive back or throw it in reverse," and like, ooh, I'm like, "What the fuck? God damn it!" Fucking e-brake. Like, or you start driving, and you're like, "Where's the brake light on?" You're like, "Oh."
Yeah, sometimes if you're not paying attention, you won't notice it, but usually you can feel the drag if the
Yeah.
e-brake's still on because it's like, why won't this thing go? Oh, well, fuck. I'm a
Well, that
dumbass.
was the. It was tough with his vehicle because like I had my truck at the time, which was an early 90s Dodge. So it's not like it had a bunch of power, but it had a hell of a lot more power than his like mid to late 90s Dodge Neon. So it's still like,
Yeah, for sure.
it's like I was already used to it being like, go, come on, you could row faster. When I was also teaching my little sister drive, I swear I would hear the song Jesus Take the Wheel.
That's what I was thinking when you said your sister would just let go and close her eyes. I'm like, oh
Oh
Lord,
yeah.
she's
Yeah. I
trusting
was
Jesus. Take
Yeah,
the
I was
wheel.
just like, I was like, fuck this. I was like, and thank God we were in a parking lot when that happened. I was just like, nope, not riding with you. Like, God, no, you can't drive for shit. Like, I will never ride with you again. I haven't since that day. I'm like, I
Right?
refuse. 'Cause I know she doesn't know how to drive, like at all. Um, what's up, exit 343?
Yeah. What's up, Ezra?
Yeah, and my dad's on the opposite side of that. So like my mother and my sister are the ones that are just like or whatever, or they'll be like, slow down, you're going too fast. You're driving really aggressive. Like they just nag you on everything. And
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
can't stand that saucy driving shit.
yeah. And then my dad's on the opposite side where he's like, you can do this. You can do this. I'm like, Dad, I know. I know what I can do and what I can't do. Like, oh, you can cut into there. No, I can't because I can actually see the car in the blind spot. You can't because you're legally blind. So, like, stop telling me I can get over. Like, I'm not taking directions from you because I'm going to get into an accident. But, yeah,
I
but
remember this one time about 10 years ago, maybe 8 to 10 years ago, let's say. Me and my wife were heading into town, and we just came up on a little overpass that runs over the railroad tracks. And she was on her phone, and she, loudly, like, said something. I don't remember exactly what she said, but it made me jump because it was out of nowhere. And
yep,
I kind of swerved. And I looked over and I said, "Don't you ever fucking do that again while I'm driving."
yep.
and it turned back. Now it's kind of an inside joke. We laugh about it, but at that moment I was like, no, don't
Yeah, it's
fucking
like,
do that when I'm driving.
my grandmother was the same way. Like, and the couple times I drove with my grandmother when she was still alive, like she'd pull it on me, but my poor grandfather, she did too all the time because she just. It's like, what the fuck do you see? Oh, did you see what that person was wearing in that car over there? It's like, geez, shut the fuck up. Like, you'd be
Mm-hmm.
like cruising down the highway and all of a sudden, what? Oh, that car up there is really driving radically.
Yeah, I
Driving
know.
this mile up the road. Like, fuck off.
Yeah, you can't be doing that. Like if you're in the middle of a conversation and you already say that, you already have the person's attention, so it's not the same. But when it's like dead silent and you're focusing on the road, or in a thought in your head or whatever,
Or you're
and all
just
of a sudden
cruising.
it's
Yeah.
like a jolt to your system.
Oh, yeah. It was horrible. My dad taught me to drive with a Budweiser in his lap, telling me to speed out. So funny enough, my dad, when I was younger, not a Budweiser, um, he wasn't a one to, dissuade people to have like road beers, but he wasn't really a drinker to begin with. But he taught me how to drive like when I was really young and on his lap, like driving the truck, like here's the steering wheel. Cause I couldn't obviously reach the gas and brake. So he'd do gas, brake, shifting. I just steer and stuff and he'd help me. And
Same
then
thing.
as I got older, I just upgraded, it kind of like transferred from that to like tractors and stuff like that and mowers and then back into vehicles and stuff later on, side by sides, and then, in vehicles and stuff. But
Yeah, my mom did that too. Because for the longest time, mom was a single parent until she met my stepdad, which I consider him my father. No step. Uh, but yeah, I would do the same thing whenever we'd go to my grandma's house. She'd put me in her lap and I'd steer. She'd drive. I'd end up backing. The older I got, I'd back the car out of the driveway or park it. Different
yep.
shit like that. But when I first started learning how to drive, and I was like 13 or 14. I think I was 13. She taught me how to drive on a standard. And she was just kind of finicky and a little freaked out because, she's teaching me how to drive. And she's trying to tell me how to do everything. And I end up just getting pissed off and I just both feet onto the brake pedal. Instead of, engaging the clutch and then the brake,
Yeah.
I went both feet brake. And we were probably doing maybe 15 or so. And by the time I stopped, we were sideways in the road because it just went sideways. I got out and told her, you drive, I'm done. Let's go home. She's like, nope, get back in and we're going to keep going. I did, and I got it. It's not very hard. It's just frustrating when you're a young teenager.
Oh yeah, especially because I don't know about you, but as a teenager, like you have that little bit of a mentality of like, I know what I'm doing. Like, I got this, kind of that cockiness to it. But
Yeah.
Just 10B says my great grandmother drove a manual until kids took her keys away at like 82. And then says my mom would let me shift starting at like 10. Then she met my stepdad, who I call dad. Yeah, I didn't shift because like my parents growing up, I know my dad had a couple cars that were manual, but that was when I was already a teenager. So he obviously wasn't having me shifting then. Like I learned how to drive a stick, and it's been probably close to 10, probably more than 10 years, honestly, since I've driven a manual. But like I learned how to drive mainly trial by fire because at the time I was working for my dad's best friend's body shop, and he sold cars out front. Like he always had like anywhere from like 5 to 12 cars that he was just like flipping. And so part of my job when I was working there over the summer, and this is, man, it must have been like, again, like 13 or 14 was, and by then like I had driven tractors and mowers and stuff like that. And obviously when I was little sitting in my dad's lap, and like I think I had done some like backing the vehicles out of the driveway type crap, but nothing really serious. But with him, with those vehicles when I was there over the summer, part of my job was to take those vehicles every week and drive them around the back of the shop. And like you had to pull out onto the main road, and literally like you pulled out and took like immediate right onto a side road, drove down that a little ways to the back of the shop, and that's where he had like his wash bays and everything like that, and where he would wash the vehicles.
Right.
And so, and these were, he literally would have everything out there. Like he'd have a 93 Camry next to like a 72 Nova, next to like, that's actually where I got my truck from, like my 93 or my 92 Dodge Dakota, next to like us, 80s van. Like he had just random shit. And so I learned how to drive stick because he had bought a Toyota pickup, like an 80s Toyota pickup that was a standard. And I remember I went to go start it and it wasn't starting. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck. Why isn't it turning over? And I'm like, oh, I think I have to press one of these pedals. So I'm just like pressing them all and trying. I'm like, oh, this one starts it. And like as soon as I started it was in gear. And so like I started up and it starts lurching towards the fucking the main road where there's like cars coming. I'm like, oh fuck. So I'm like I slam on the brakes and shit. He's like, yeah, he's like, you gotta push the clutch in, let it out and hit the gas. I'm like, okay, I can figure this out. Like I must have stalled that thing 20 times getting it around the back of the building. And probably another like 10 getting it out front again. But like that's just how you learned. And so I just did that enough over the summer that I felt at least comfortable on that truck with that clutch to drive it properly. Now, granted, I never like took it up on the highways and stuff like that, but I could hop in it, get it going good enough to get around back, wash it down, all that good stuff. But
Right. Yeah.
what's up, bro?
Your Dodge, was it a Dakota Splash?
Which one was the Splash?
Well, the one I remember specifically, it was green and it had like these weird, like colored lines that would like whoosh down the side of it.
Oh, okay. I know what one you're talking about. No, that wasn't mine. Mine was mine actually it was one of the rare ones with the V8 in it, which didn't
Okay.
really make that much of a difference, to be honest. Like early 90s truck. But it was black and it had like white. I don't want to call them racing stripes because they weren't racing stripes, but they're just like white stripes on the side, like a couple
Like pinstripe.
kind of like a pinstripe, yeah. And it had a slight lift on it that someone had put on it, and it had a light bar on it. So like, it was a fun little truck. I mean, I think all in all, it may have had 150 horsepower, if that. But it was a fun little truck to just kind of fart around with and stuff. I'm gonna catch up on
I know
some.
the reason I asked is because those Dakota Splashes, man, they were fucking garbage. They were garbage. They were cheaply made. When I was 13, me and my buddy, we just got off work because we worked at my mom and dad's tire shop. They owned a tire shop where we, did anywhere from car tires to tractor tires. We have even had a fucking airplane tire come in.
Oh, jeez.
But we were heading home on the back road, and this truck, it was a brand new Chevy Silverado, and there were some mailboxes off to the right, and it pulled off like it was going to go check the mail. It wasn't hauling a trailer, it was just the truck itself. And then so my buddy drops it down in fourth gear and speeds up to go around him. Naturally, is what you would do. And this motherfucker decided to make a left turn into a driveway across the way, and we just smacked the ass end of him in the back left corner of the bed. And it spun him around into the ditch, and he ended up, knocking down part of the fence. And we I think we did a 180 and ended up in the ditch, but it literally crushed the whole front end all the way up to the windshield or to the dash, and part of the engine broke through the firewall.
Jesus.
And the smoke just started pluming inside the vehicle. My buddy was able to get out pretty quickly, but my seatbelt wouldn't come off. That's my main reason why I carry a knife, because I didn't have a knife on me back then.
Yeah.
And I could not get the seatbelt off for anything. I was choking. I was starting to fucking, I was, going in and out because just losing consciousness. And I finally got it off. And I don't even remember opening the door. Next thing I know, I'm just falling out of the truck like jello onto the ground. And I have to lay there a minute to,
get some
regain.
air back in your lungs.
Yeah. And dude, I had a bruise from the seatbelt all over, from shoulder to side. Jeez. Yeah, it fucked me up pretty good.
Sounds
But
like
yeah,
it.
that's why I carry a pocket knife, because that wreck.
I always have a knife on me or in the car, like right available and stuff for that same issue.
Hmm.
Gonna jump up on chats here. Glass 3222 says, I didn't drive a vehicle that wasn't a manual until I was 25. Started riding dirt bikes with a clutch at age 6. Drove dad's Jeep and truck starting at 12. My first 4 vehicles were all sticks. Yeah, I mean, I had dirt bikes and stuff as a kid, so I did have those, which I was used to shifting. But like that was again right around that same time. Like I didn't get my first dirt bike till I was I was probably like around that same age, like 12, 13, something around there. So it was right around that same time I started at the body shop, is when I finally got a dirt bike. Uh, Raw Feeding says, I learned how to drive a stick in the high school driver's ed lot while I was skipping math class. Yeah,
Nice.
we used to skip classes and go for rides and stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
same here.
just 10B says, the first time I ever drove, I was in 7th grade. It was 4 miles down the road with a manual Suzuki Sidekick. Oh, I love those Suzuki Sidekicks. By myself in the pouring rain. So funny side note on the Sidekick. So my buddy had the what was it? The Geo Tracker. So essentially like the GM version of the Sidekick.
Yes, I remember those.
And
Yeah.
like, and oh my God, this thing was such a piece. I shouldn't say it was a piece of shit, because that thing, like, we took it out in blizzards we should not have been in. Like, we beat the snot out of that thing. But it sucked, because he'd be like, oh, let's all go here. And we're like, okay, we'll drive. He's like, no, I'm going to drive everyone. I'm like, Joe, there's 3 or 4 of us. Like, granted, you're, 180 pounds, maybe 200 pounds. Like, our buddy Jason, like, he's 130 pounds soaking wet. But, like, me and this other kid, we're both, like, 3 to 4 times your size. Like, and at that time, I was real big. And I was like, it just sucked piling everyone in there. And the thing had no balls at all. But, like, it was fun for just, like, farting around and stuff. Because, again, kind of going back to, skipping school and going for drives. Like, I used to take my truck down all the time. We had maintenance roads and stuff like that going through the woods, and we just kind of go off road and stuff. Nothing too crazy. Sometimes a little light mudding, things like that. But just 10B says, I had to get my school ID to get into military base with my grandparents for a doctor's appointment. Seatbelt broke my collarbone. Holy shit.
Damn.
Yeah, I have a buddy that he in college, and to this day he like won't wear a seatbelt. Like every time people are like, "Oh, if you don't wear your seatbelt, you're an idiot." Like I get some people not wearing. Like I myself wear my seatbelt just because it's like a habit thing.
Yeah,
but I
same.
understand why some people don't, because again, going back to my buddy, like he was in a wreck when he was a kid and he wasn't wearing his seatbelt. And he's like, I forget exactly like all the details, but they went off the road, like went into a lake type situation, and he was able to get out and stuff like that. And his buddy, I think, was trapped in he didn't die, but he was trapped in there or something, and like they had to like cut him out to get him out. Because his seatbelt locked up after the crash. And so he's like, yeah, I'll never wear a seatbelt. He's like, because if we had both been knocked out or something like that, or both been locked up in the seatbelt, like we would never have gotten out. And then I have another friend that he got into an accident. He was coming off the highway. He had a green light and took the green, went to go turn. Some lady T-boned him and hit him so hard that he was in the driver's seat. When the car came to a stop, he was in the passenger seat.
Damn.
Yeah, like hit him that hard. He was in a coma for like 3 weeks or something like that. But they told him straight up, like, yeah, if you had been in your seat, like you wouldn't be here, because that side of the car was gone. Like it was because you weren't wearing the seatbelt, like the momentum carried you is why you were alive.
That's fucking crazy. What's that raw feeding rolling trip?
What's up, rolling trip? I think they say at low speed seatbelts save lives, at higher speeds they are no good. Yeah, and I mean that kind of makes sense, because I mean, if you think about it, if you're doing super high speeds, like you get into an accident with a seatbelt doing 70, 80, like is it gonna make that much of a difference? Like the only difference is probably your body is gonna stay in the car instead of outside the car. It's about the only difference.
Mm-hmm. And plus, if you're ever in a wreck, and semi-high speeds or even high speeds, you basically just want to go limp. That's why drunk drivers usually always fucking survive unscathed.
Yeah, because they don't like lock up their bodies and stuff. They just woohoo, like Jello. But yeah. So this has been automotive chat and safety standards chats with Angry and Corey.
You got anything pulled up news-wise, or anything you want to talk about?
I haven't even checked the news. I've been so goddamn busy at work this week. It's only Tuesday. Like, it fucking sucks. And then other shit happened this week, and I'm just like, fuck. Like, that's why I said I almost didn't do anything this week, because I'm just like, but let's see what's in the news.
I saw that New York is reinstating the healthcare workers that they actually fired for being unvaccinated, and they're making them do back pay on them.
Interesting. It still doesn't make things right, but interesting. What do we got here? I'm just on Yahoo News.
I mean, I didn't do my own research into to validate it, but I saw multiple things, so it's got to be at the least partially true.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I literally haven't watched shit. It's like most mornings, like I'll watch Crowder or something like that, and like have it on the background as I'm doing stuff. And literally the past 2 days, I've been so busy. I'm like, I've forgotten to even watch it or pay attention to it. As T-Bone, I just got out of the Navy, broke my femur. If I did not know what a trinket was, I would have.
I think he meant tourniquet.
I think he meant tourniquet too. I was like, he had a little trinket. He put the little trinket on him.
Yeah. Damn, yeah. Getting T-bone sucks ass, man. I've had that happen when I was in the oil field. I was in a brand new F-250 hauling a brand new trailer, which we called a monorail because it had a rail at the top that had a sliding pulley, because we would pick up what we called manifolds, which the gas, the sand, and everything flowed through from the well. And it was very heavy. It was like 1,000 pounds. So we'd have to have, the pulley to pick it up, put it on the trailer, take it off, whatever. And it was a gooseneck. And I was on, what was it? I-90, I think it is, going through Louisiana from Lafayette, or coming into Lafayette. And I'm fully loaded down max, and the light had just turned yellow before I crept up on it. And I went through it because it was yellow. And all of a sudden, I get T-boned from the right side. I end up losing control. I fishtail. The trailer swings around to the passenger side, just slams into me. Part of the stuff on the trailer ended up puncturing a big hole through the back passenger door because it was a 4-door truck. Yep. And by the time I skidded to a stop, the passenger side was lifted off the ground. Like I was almost sideways on the side of the driver's side. And the guy that I was following, because we were taking brand new equipment from Houma, Louisiana, all the way up to McAllister, Oklahoma. And he said he looked in the rearview mirror and thought I was dead because of how bad it was. He saw it happen in the rearview mirror. But yeah, that fucked me up. Luckily, I didn't break anything. They did think they thought I broke my neck because my head bounced off the driver window and shattered it. And I was stuck on a backboard and gurney for 8 hours in a neck brace. I was so fucking stiff the next day, dude. I couldn't walk.
Oh, I bet, because I mean, your muscles are gonna naturally like tighten and stuff. Like tense up, and it takes a long time once they do that hard tense to relax out again. Mm-hmm. But just 10B says, I'm sure that's I-90. Raw Feeding says, I've been ignoring the news for about 6-ish weeks, and it's been so nice. Mental health. I've been kind of doing the same. Like, I mean, obviously some stuff trickles in. Obviously, I'm doing these chats, multiple times a week, so I'm going to catch some stuff. But with everything else going on in my life, it's like fretting about shit going on in Russia or, potential, like stuff I have no control over. I just I don't have the energy for it anymore. I have to rotate that energy elsewhere. And that's just me. It's not that it's stuff I don't want to know about because I want to stay informed, but I take very little bits of it because I don't want to let it weigh heavy on me because it's stuff at the end of the day that I no matter how much energy I devote to it isn't going to change. Like I can't
No,
do anything to affect it.
I sorry, I totally understand. I mean, unless it's like pertinent to where, the state I live in or something that's interests
Yep.
me, I don't really seek it out because, I mean, like you said, we're on these chats multiple times a week as far as whether it's Matt or Honda's or yours. I mean, we do a lot of news coverage anyway. So if something
Yeah.
does happen and I don't hear about it, I'll find out during the chats.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I was just looking through stuff right now, and I know they got like the debates and stuff going on, which I think yesterday was DeSantis, and today is and whoever the hell he's running against, and today is Fetterman and Oz. So those are my two representatives, both of which honestly suck. Like one's better than the other technically, but I saw Oz when I went to that Trump rally early September and was not impressed by him. Um,
Fetterman,
so
he's the one with the big goiter on the back of his neck, right?
he's the weird looking human, the one that looks like the Goombas from the Mario Brothers movies. Yep,
Yeah. It kind of looks like the Wish.com of Jesse Ventura.
very similar. Yep, that's a great way to yes. Yeah, Jesus. Like he is so weird and just like shit that comes out of their mouths and stuff. I'm just like, okay. I get all my no local news from Matt and Honda. I kind of do the same. Yeah, most of my news comes from Matt and Honda when they drop stuff. And again, I take little bits of it because I just got so much else on my plate right now and other stuff I'm focused on. Then just like, oh, my energy kind of has to go here. Like I just can't fret about this item or that item. So, and if people have the bandwidth to do so, good for them. I mean, I'm happy for them. I take it little bits. I really wish I had another USB port here on my laptop, but I don't. Pisses me off. I need to grab a charger. Oh well, I can do it after the chat. But yeah, we've missed you raw feeding. I get it though. Like I get it because so many of those chats, unless we're talking geek stuff or gun stuff, have just been news and politics, and I understand why because people come for those. And it's not everyone's cup of tea always, so I get it. But that's why you're here and welcome because we will talk about whatever you folks want to talk about. So if you have topics, drop them below. And Bjorn, yeah, if you ever want a link, just like hit me up ahead of time and stuff so I can make sure I can fire one out to you. And that goes for anyone on the chat. Like if anyone ever wants to hop in, just hit me up on Discord, let me know, and I'll fire you over a link ahead of time. So trying to think next Tuesday I'll probably still do a chat. Tuesday after I might have to postpone to Wednesday. I don't know yet because I have Monday. Like next week's a short week for me. I'm only working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'm off Thursday, Friday, and then the following Monday. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm taking
back to what we were talking about a while ago. It is nice that when we have these chats, especially like the geek chat on Saturdays with Matt, it's nice to get away from all the day-to-day bullshit and the politics and everything and just talk about shit fun like how we were talking in the beginning most of the chat so far about cars and
yep.
Just different accidents or whatever, but it's a nice mix up from what we usually discuss. And
you need that mental health break. Rolling Trip says, you see that Anderson just released I did see that actually. So that is something I wanted to bring up and I completely forgot coming in. So thank you. Yeah, Anderson just released a Not a Glock. I saw it because
really?
Classic sent me an email on it because they did a video. I haven't watched the video yet, but they did a video on it.
I didn't know that was an Anderson Not a Glock because I saw the email because I get it too. Yeah, I mean, it looked cool, but
it looks cool. My only concern for Anderson's standpoint is because I looked at the price and I think they want like 450 beans for it, or like right around there. And
Uh-huh.
so for 450, like I can go buy a used Glock.
Well, not
And if
only
I
that, you can go to PSA
can buy
and
a
get
dagger for
the
299,
dagger with the gun case, a soft shell case, and 10 mags right now. I want to say
for like
for
five.
no, no, it's like 359 beans or something like that.
Oh, really?
360. Yeah, because they got them on sale. If you look
Shit.
at their daily deal. So, what would you rather get? My choice is get the cheaper
Yeah.
pistol that comes with 10 fucking mags.
Yeah, if I'm gonna buy now, and granted, again, like I mean, I'd have to see comparison next to each other. I've heard good things about the daggers, but I'm sure there's bad reviews out there on them. Um, who knows? I just feel with it being an Anderson, it's probably very compatible to the dagger. In which case, it's like that price point. Which one you gonna take? But
Exactly.
again, I haven't looked enough into it and seen enough reviews on it because if it's given Glock performance, but it's given the undercut and like a little bit other stuff, cool, great, yay.
Hmm.
Um, if
One thing
anyone
I did
buys,
notice with that Anderson one is when you get a good firm grip on it, right where your thumb is all just smooth polymer. I feel like that should be textured, especially going around the whole backside too on the back strap. To
yeah, you
me
think so.
personally, I like the whole grip aggressively stippled so I can get a good firm grip on it and it won't slip around in my hand if it gets sweaty.
Yeah, yeah. If anyone buys one, does not want to keep it, I'll trade them for Anderson lowers. Bear Creek Arsenal released an all metal, not a Glock recently, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't seen that. See, that'd be cool. I'd like an all metal, and I understand like the weight difference, but it's just something different, which
Hmm.
depending on the price point could be worth it. Now, I will say this with Anderson, if they do something where, because like the biggest issue with like Glocks is buying the parts, and I mean, granted, yeah, there's tons of aftermarket parts, but just to get like a Glock receiver or something like that's kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So that kind of leaves you with either like full blown polymer 80 that's all done up or not, up to you. I don't care. I think PSA was doing their dagger like receivers, but I don't remember if that's correct. But like if Anderson starts going, hey, here's a receiver, like you can just buy a receiver and then dump whatever Glock parts you kind of like how they do with their ARs.
Hmm.
That may be something. Like if they come in at like, receivers at what are AR receivers going for now, like 80 beans, something like that, Anderson receivers. So like if they came in something like that, and we're like, hey, you can get a Glock receiver for 80 beans and then go on Glock store or whatever websites you want, buy a slide, buy a barrel, buy a trigger, buy your internals, like all that good stuff. That could be where I could see them having a little bit more success with this,
Hmm.
but that's just me.
I do
I
know
know
the
it's
itself, the frame. I haven't seen it without the trigger. I've seen it where it's a complete pistol frame for 99 beans, and then you
really,
can buy the upper, the slide and barrel and everything, a full symbol kit. Last time I seen one, granted you can get it to where it's just the plain Jane version or optics ready, whatever. But I think the cheapest one I've seen started out like, was it 189 beans, somewhere about there, just under
uh,
200.
that's not bad because I bought my when I had to buy my stuff. I bought my lower parts kit, my slide. There's a completed slide. Like I had to complete the slide myself, but like had the sights and everything on it, and barrel. And I think that was like 240, if I remember correctly. So the BCA, not a Glock, was in a bunch of different configurations, skeletonized slides, pre-cut for optics, lots of packs, etc. Okay. I didn't know Bear Creek Arsenal came out with that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know either. See, me, I don't really care too much about the heft of the pistol because I mean I carry a Glock 21 as my everyday carry, and 15 rounds of 45 plus the Glock, isn't light. and I'm used to carrying 1911 before that. So the
Yeah, if
weight
you're
really
used
doesn't bother me personally.
yeah, if you're used to carrying that, then it's not going to be a big difference. Like for me, I mean, I honestly probably wouldn't care because like my normal go-to carry guns I already have, so like it would just be an extra gun, like more of like a duty gun
Mm-hmm.
or something, or like a gun to give to someone if I needed to, like shit hits fan or whatever. So I wouldn't mind an all metal gun. It wouldn't bother me at all. But apparently they're doing the fucking air raid siren. I don't know if you can hear that, but
No,
um
I can't because I've got a loud fucking bike passing by me.
oh, Travis P11 did an overview. Okay, I'm gonna have to look at it. I haven't watched one of Travis's videos for a while, so I'm gonna have to. I wonder if I somehow got unsubscribed to him. Actually, now that I think about it, because I don't think he's popped up in my subscriptions as of late. And I know he used to be doing videos every week, so I got to check into that.
Yeah, I used to be subscribed to Travis P11, but I guess I got fucking kicked from his subscriber list too. Because I've had that happen with several different other people.
That must have been what happened. Because I'm like now that Raw Feeding says it, I'm like, I used to see Travis's shit all the time, and it's probably been about 3 months or so that I haven't seen his stuff come across my feed at all. So, and even when I go into my subscriptions, because sometimes I'll go there and just because like I know that someone dropped a video, and I'm like, oh, I'll get to it later type shit, and then I'll be scrolling through it. Yeah.
That's like before I joined the back chat, I was scrolling, trying to find your video that you had, set out to start to see what time you were doing it, and I couldn't find it. I actually had to go to my subscription list to go to your name to find out, where your video was. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I've been. I don't know what's going on with my feed. Yeah, Raw Feeding says Travis still has 1 to 3 videos a week now. Yeah, so I'll have to go resubscribe to him. Yeah, my stuff for whatever reason, like when I post, and it could just be something going on with my StreamYard. But like whenever I'll like schedule something, like most people, because I know like when Matt schedules a chat, we all get notifications like Matt's scheduling a chat or whatever. But like for mine, when I schedule a chat, I'll go to my page and nothing shows up there. So that's why I've just been dropping my page into the Discord, like, hey, I'm gonna do a chat. I don't know where the fuck it is, but it says it's on YouTube. Yeah, Rafi says he has to check. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with them on that shit, but whatever.
So it ain't just me. So
yeah, I'll have to look into it. Could just be something going on with maybe because like all I've really been doing lately is live chats, so maybe that's why they're doing shit. Who the fuck knows? I have no idea. I don't play around with YouTube enough. Now they have a webcam again, I can actually start doing videos and stuff. I literally picked this. This came in this morning because I was supposed to have a webcam come last week after the one on my laptop died. And I emailed my coworker. He's like, oh yeah, this was Thursday. He's like, I'll overnight one to you. You'll have it Friday. I'm like, okay. But he was at a conference all week. So like he didn't send me any, shipping information at all. So Friday, end of the day, I go down, I check the mailroom, don't see anything. I'm like, all right, we must not be here. Maybe, I was like, overnight sounds ambitious anyway. So like Saturday, I checked nothing. I'm like, that's weird. So I checked yesterday and I'm like, So I message him like, did they send the webcam? He's like, oh yeah, here's a photo. Amazon said they dropped it off. I'm like, yeah, it's not there. So he's like, oh, we'll go buy one and, I'll just reimburse you. I was like, all right. So he sent me the email today. He's like, you'll get reimbursed on your paycheck. I'm like, oh, great. They're going to take taxes out of it. So I'm just saving it. I'm just going to use a tax write-off. It's like, I'm like, God damn it. Like, but.
What's up? Don't poke the bear.
Angry, there was not a notification that you were scheduled, but the link worked. Okay. Well, what's up? Don't poke the bear.
Yeah, because I have where all notifications are turned on with your channel and with all the channels that I'm subscribed to, but I don't always get notifications for everything. It's weird.
Yeah, I've run into that issue too. Like Matt stuff more recently, I've got notifications for, but there's a long time I didn't. E-Hondas, I don't like, and I have notifications turned on for that. I almost never get notifications for Honda stuff. Um,
For some
but then,
reason, I think he's hardcore shadow banned.
oh, probably more than likely, yeah. Because then there's like other channels, like I subscribe to a couple like automotive channels and shit like that. Every video they drop, you get a notification for. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that's exactly the case. So whatever. Um, but yeah, I'm doing so. But yeah, now I can happy I have this because I still got to do a video on that stupid bug out vehicle build thing contest that I was doing that I don't even think anyone else is doing. But I'm like, fuck it. I was home. Excuse me. I was home for a weekend. I was bored, so I did it. And then I want to do some more. Like, I'll pick up some more videos of like some of my gun shit and like some of my like adventure shit.
Mm-hmm. So you said you got a new Beretta, right?
Yeah. I got the APX Carry, the first version. What?
Show it off.
I gotta figure out where the fuck I put it. Hold on. I'll be right back. Keep everyone excited. This is the problem. I did like a head count this weekend. I'm like, I guess you have. I know it's not enough, but I'm like, I guess you have. Oh, there it is. I was like, I guess you have more when you're like, you can't sit there and go like, oh yes, I have 3 guns, or like, you know how many guns you have when you're when you're sitting there and you're like, I really don't fucking know.
Right. Yeah.
So
Raw Feeding says I get phone notifications, but I can't find them in the feed without manually searching out the channels. I had that problem as well. Don't poke the bear. What's up, man? I'm doing good. Just was a stressful afternoon, trying to go to town to run some errands and make it back alive. And Simple Dan joined the chat. What's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, Simple Dan? Yeah, I downloaded it because I was carrying it earlier today. But
do you like it?
I mean, so far I do, but that's it.
Oh, cool. It's the subcompact.
Oh yeah. It came with a so it has a 6-round flush mag, and then it also has a 8-round extended mag with like a more grippy panel down here that comes down a wee little bit. So I can still get a good purchase on this end, but my pinky just barely hangs off. But with the 8-rounder, there's no issues whatsoever. So
how thick's the grip? Is it like shield thick or
real thin? Like it's a single stack. So
yeah. I just didn't know if it was a little thicker or not.
No, it's pretty thin. So, which is nice because I want something. Because usually I was carrying my this one's loaded too, so I gotta upload this. But
I bought a MVP shield when they came out, and I mean it's a good little gun. It's a little snappy because it's a little small, too small. But
yeah,
I can't get a good grip purchase because I got pretty fucking good sized hands, and it feels like it swims around in my palm.
Yeah, this fills up my. Usually I was carrying my little LCP, so like, which is fine because when I'm wearing, this is still like I'll carry this when I'm just wearing like gym shorts or like jogger pants or something because the holster I have like it'll still attach to the, I guess, elastic band there, and I can still have good enough retention to draw it out and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It still stays secure and it's light enough so it's not like shifting around and like moving. Like I don't have to worry about losing this. Where this, when I tried to put it on there, just because it is a little bit heftier, it does. But I mean, you look at the size difference in those. I mean, it's not too crazy. In this, I mean, granted, yeah, it's small in my hands, but I can get enough of a purchase on it to hold rounds down. But this also has really good texturing on the back strap. I know it didn't come across on camera, and on the front strap, so like you can really get a good purchase on this and it stays in your hand.
Those shields have no fucking texture at all, hardly the first gens, and I can barely get 2 fingers on the shield. my third one, just the top of my third finger will touch the mag. So I don't feel comfortable really shooting it.
Yeah, mine. I just realized I was muted while I was giving that visual demonstration, so my dumbass hit the mute button. But yeah, as I was explaining, like on the LCP, like obviously it's a very small. There's really not much gripping there. Like there's a little bit on the back and front strap, but so it's a little bit snappier. But it's a light enough gun. It's a light enough round. I'm fine with it. Where with this, there's full text. There's good texturing on the back and the front strap, and like granted, it's single step, but I can still get enough of a purchase on there, especially with that longer mag, that I have plenty of control for it. So yeah, I'm pretty damn happy with it. It's small and it's thin enough that I can carry it comfortably. Especially with wearing, because that's the problem too. Like in the fall time, like you might be wearing a hoodie 1 minute and then the next minute you're just back down to a t-shirt. And so I want something that could bridge the gap. So
Yeah.
let me see here, because I know some.
Yeah, I got a couple of new people coming in.
Let's see. Ohio Patriot. So this is the Beretta APX carry. This is the Gen 1. The only difference between the Gen 1 and the Gen 2 is different serrations. Like it's different cut serrations on the Gen. I think they call it the A1 is the Gen 2. And the takedown lever, there's an actual like takedown lever on the Gen 2. Instead of this where it's like you have to take a bullet or a screwdriver and like rotate a screw to take it down. Just 10B says, my wife likes that APX, but she will not get over the 43X with S15 Max. Yeah, the 43X is an awesome gun. And honestly, like the reason I got this was because I was looking for something that was like P365. I wanted something that wasn't quite double stack, like not quite a G26, but kind of that, what do they call it, like a stack and a half or whatever. That's what I've been looking for, but this was 300 beans, and I couldn't pass it up. I'm like, for 300, okay.
So that had more of the Browning style slide and barrel, or is it the rotating barrel like the Beretta?
Like the PX4? No, this is like a Browning style. Yeah,
I thought so.
Those PX4s are good. So the funny thing is, the subcompact PX4s don't have that rotating barrel. They have a sliding. Yeah, they have a sliding. It's only the compact and the full size. Hey, Tara. I am setting a lot of my non-cooking videos to private. They are still available on Rumble. Also, my fender bracket just shipped, due in this week. Bike scheduled Wednesday, should be done next weekend. Hell yeah, that'll be awesome.
Hell yeah.
Good stuff.
What's up, Tara? How are you feeling? You about all healed up? Ohio, what's up, man? Pavia, or however you say his name, joined.
Oh, right on. I'm so far down. Just 10B says, angry I wear light clothing at work, glad I'm not the only person that owns the LCP. Yeah, honestly, my LCP, this was what I carried most of the time when I was working in office. I either carry it on me or I had a laptop bag that I would just slide it right into. Because usually I was wearing, like, especially in Arizona, like most of the time you're wearing like suit pants, like dress pants, and like a button down shirt. So it's really hard to hide something because everything's tucked in. Or you're wearing very light clothing. So what else we got in here? Sorry, I'm still scrolling up here. Rough eating. I recently picked up a cheap shotgun, my first shotgun, ATI Nomad in 12 gauge. Well, congratulations, sir, on your first shotgun. I need to pick up a second myself, but I have my Benelli still. But I had a second one, and then I sold it, and now I'm like, I had a second one, I sold it. Then I got a Shockwave. I traded that for an AR pistol. And then I got another shotgun. I sold that. So, like, I've always just basically had, like, one shotgun for the most part. So I need to get a second one and actually keep it.
I've got several. My next one I would like to get is a double barrel 20 gauge, bicock.
Nice. I'd love a bicock. Although I want 12 gauge only because that's what I got shells for it. Like, I'm trying to unless it's something that's like super unique, like weird military surplus, historic, like I really don't want to hop into another caliber.
No, I
Um,
understand that. I understand. But yeah,
raw
I have
feed.
a 12 gauge bicock. That's what I picked up in Tulsa in April.
Oh, that's right. Yep, yep. Yeah, I want either like a bicock or I want something with a field barrel on it so I can go skeet shooting because I have a buddy of mine that works up. It's like right across the border in New York. But he like runs the gun range up there, so they do shoots all the time. So I want something I can go up, skeet shoot, whatever. Like if I want to take it hunting, I can. Because I could get a field barrel for the Benelli, but for the price
Mhm.
I'm paying for that, I might as well just buy another shotgun.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, raw feeding says 103 beans, found it at a local place for 88, single shot break action. Hell yeah, that's awesome. Single
Yeah.
shot
Not
break
bad.
actions are great. Pavia07 didn't even know Angry has. Yeah, I've had this channel for a while. I don't until recently. I have not really posted on it. Just like I post like I'd get ambitious and for like a month I'd post a bunch of like random ass videos and then I wouldn't touch it for like 6 to 8 months. Fetterman is debating Oz and failing hard. I'm not
Good.
surprised, although again, like I don't like either one to be honest. Just one is better than the other.
Oz.
Um,
Is that Dr. Oz?
so it's Dr. Oz, but it's not the Dr. Oz you're thinking of from like, yeah.
Oh, okay.
At least I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it's not that same Dr. Oz. Maybe I don't fucking know.
They're both all fucking politicians. It don't matter what side. They're fucking
And
pieces of shit.
that's the thing. Like when I saw about the Trump rally, and granted, I know it's a Trump rally, so there's gonna be a shit ton of politicians, but like he just oozed that slimy politician. And it was just like, man, like you're not even trying not to be a politician. like, and that's the only time I even knew about him, to be honest. So, Exit 343 says, I'm looking for a 22 pistol with a very easy slide for my mom. Her hands can't rack a 9mm. So it's going to be tough
Honestly,
with
go
22,
ahead.
but what I would suggest in that route, look at like the Beretta. I forget if it's the Tomcat or the
Yeah, the
Bearcat.
Tomcat or the Bobcat.
The Bobcat, yeah. Because if you're trying to rack it, yes, very heavy slide, but it has that ability not to have that pop-up barrel. And like I had the Taurus version of that, and that gun ran flawlessly. Like
I love those
I could,
Bobcats.
yeah, I could throw. And the Taurus one I had was like the nice one. Like it was the Inox finish. Well, their version of Inox with like the wood grip, so it didn't look all plasticky and shit. And
Hmm.
again, ran flawlessly. I could throw any type of 22 long rifle in it, and it ran. Never had to clear a jam or anything on it, and you could just literally throw the mag in, pop the barrel, throw it in, close it. You never had to rack it ever.
Exactly.
So,
The one I used to have was a 25 ACP.
yep, they had
But
one of those at the shop.
other than that, the only other easy 22 pistol I can think of, you don't even have to rack it all. You can get like a Ruger Wrangler or a Heritage Rough Rider. It's a single action revolver, but I mean, there's no racking, and
you could even get like because I mean, depends on how much you want to spend. But I know like Taurus, Ruger, because Ruger has the LCR in 22. You can get that as well, and that I think is, don't quote me on this, but I want to say it's like 8 or 9 rounds. So you're still getting a good round count out of it. And granted, it's a revolver, so it's a little bit heavier trigger pull. I don't know if they have any of the versions with the external hammer or the actual hammer you can cock yourself, but that would be a good, because you don't have to worry about racking at all with that.
exactly. And as far as the TX22, I heard those are really good reliable guns. Honda has one. I've never handled one personally, so I can't speak to how heavy the slide is, but it can't be much.
Same. I finally saw one this weekend. I'm sorry, 2 weekends ago. And if it wasn't just because the shop was busy, I was going to finagle with it, even though I knew I wasn't going to buy it because it was new and I didn't want to pay that price. But what's Raw Feeding saying? Now I have a problem. My cabinet fits 6 rifles and there's 5 in there now. The OCD is taking over. What should I get? I've got my wife's first BB gun in there for sentimental reasons, an AR, a 308 hunting rifle, a 22 long rifle semi-auto rifle, and the shotgun. Well, the thing I don't see in there is something in 7.62 by 39. So my suggestion would be an AK of some sort, and if you don't want to spend that much money, an SKS.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is the Dr. Oz. I
See,
thought it might be, but I wasn't 100% positive.
yeah, I thought it was a TV show, Dr. Oz. I can't stand that arrogant piece of shit.
That's the thing. Like he's so like he just has a stick up his ass, and it's just
Yeah, I hate that son of a bitch.
But yeah, that would be my suggestion. Raw feeding is some sort of 7.62, or hear me out on this. Obviously, you have an AR, you have your 308 hunting rifle, your 22 semi-auto, your shotgun. But does your wife have an AR or something like that she can use? Like,
Yep.
is your AR a carbine? Maybe you need an AR pistol. Maybe you want to do 308, like a AR-10 or something, like a semi-auto AR. Or whatever, set me FAL, although those are getting insanely expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I would say something along those lines would fill out your collection perfectly. Again, 7.62 is great, but I understand if you don't want to hop into another caliber because you already seem to have quite a few. So
my question is, what are you currently looking at that you're wanting, and then maybe we could go from there to help you decide what to get.
What to narrow down? Yeah.
Why don't you drop in some suggestions that you're looking at or you're wanting, and then we could further help you.
Yeah. Exit 343 says, I found some 7-shot revolvers, but ungodly expensive. Yeah, most of the time they are. Taurus is a good option. The 942. Ohio Patriot. I have a Taurus TX22. They're good and easy to rack, but would never trust my life on a 22 semi-auto because I've had first-round failure fires with that gun in back-to-back mags, 100% ammo issues. Yeah, and that's the problem with 22 long rifle is there's a chance of running into ammo issues. That's true. If you don't want to go 22, you could do this. Glass 3222 says you could do the M&P Easy 380, easy to rack. Another option is, again, depends on what her caliber proficiency is, but the Walther CCP, they have that in both 380 and 9mm. I had one of those. Extremely easy gun to rack. Extremely easy. I ended up actually selling that to this little scrawny girl that she had never owned a handgun before. Like, she had gone hunting with her dad back in the day, and she had just moved out on her own. She's like, I want a gun for my self-defense, but like, it scares me having to rack a gun. And so like, I sold it to her, and I was like, well, see if you can rack it. She's like, oh, this isn't hard at all. I'm like, yeah, that's because it's a Walther CCP.
Another one that's good that I would recommend, and I've actually have personal experience with, is the Walther PK380. That fucking slide is like butter. I mean, it's so easy to rack because I bought it for my mom who had arthritis, and even she could rack it because when I bought it, I brought it to her and made sure she could handle it. If not, I had to go get the other one I was looking at. But dude, that PK380 was just fucking phenomenally easy.
Yep. So, what are we seeing here? Raw Feeding says good options. I was thinking a pump shotgun. That's true. You only have a single shot, so a pump shotgun's not bad. Maybe something 410 that the wife can handle. 410, she could probably also handle 20 gauge, to be honest. 20 gauge is not that bad. You get in a good platform. Good 20 gauge pump gun. That's a solid option as well.
Yeah, I recently bought a Stevens 320 pump gun that Matt actually recommended, and it's got a pistol grip, so it's a little short package, but My wife was scared to even try to handle a 20 gauge, and I know 20 is, far less recoil.
Yeah. I'll look at that 380. My is the same arthritis. Yeah, all those 380, like the Walther 380s, as you said, the PK 380 and the CCP, and both 380 and 9mm, because they're a piston gun, so they're very easy to run. And then those little, like, if you want to stay 22, those little Bobcats, that is one of the biggest guns I regret selling, because, like, granted, it didn't have a lot of practical purpose, but it was just such a fun, cool little gun.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, definitely. And as far as raw feeding and saying, fucking the Picos, the Beretta Picos, they are garbage, in my opinion. Yeah. They're fucking garbage, as well as the Spectrum.
Yes, this is why it runs the Spectrum.
In the Spectrum, the one that looks like it's like bent in half.
No, that's the Taurus Curve.
Okay.
Yeah, you're thinking of the Taurus Curve. I know what you're talking. The Spectrum's what they came out that replaced the TCP 380. It came in like all the goofy colors you could get, like clearly very marketed to women. Like I actually thought about picking. Funny thing is, I never see the Spectrums. Like I go into gun shops, I never see a used Spectrum for sale. So if people are buying them, they seem to be holding on to them. I don't know how well they run, but back in the day, like it was one of the guns I was looking at potentially getting when I had my LCP, or like even before my LCP, because I wanted a small little 380, because I used to have the Diamondback 380 back in the day, which I know the horror stories, most people say they're garbage. Mine ran great, but I realized mine was probably the exception. So the little Spectrums I always thought were, because they were like the budget man's looking PVK almost, like they're much smoother and everything, but yeah, I just never found them used for sale.
Do they still make the fucking Taurus Curve? Because I haven't seen anything about them.
I don't think so.
I remember when they came out, there was such a big hype that they were putting out. I thought it was so cool and everything. And I'm looking at it, and it's like, is this even gonna work? Because it looks like it fucking got bit in half.
Yeah, it was so fucking stupid looking. And like, granted, I don't know anyone that ever had one, because I don't know anyone that was like, oh yeah, this is a good purchase. I mean, like if it was cheap enough, I'd get one as like a gimmick gun or something, like a fun little like, oh, here's a stupid thing to bring to the range. But yeah.
Rob says they stopped making the Curve, and he said the Spectrum runs fine if you can find ammo they like, and I don't like finicky guns like that.
I get that. I had my that's from I had with my I had North American Arms. The God, I forget what they call it. I think it was the Guardian, like the little 32, and that thing was extremely finicky on ammo when I first got it, to the point where like you'd be having multiple primer strikes on stuff to get the fire, and then I found out like, it was the firing pin spring was going on it, so I ended up selling that to a buddy of mine for dirt cheap, because he really didn't have, like, all he had at the time was a shotgun, and he was doing Uber and stuff in the hood, and so I sold it to him for real cheap. And I was like, listen, like, here's a box of ammo, it seems to run pretty well, but like I wouldn't rely on, like, you're gonna want to replace the spring. So he ended up getting a new spring. He's like, oh yeah, working's fine. I'm like, okay, well, as long as you're happy with it, fuck it, cool.
We were talking a while ago about the Tomcats and the Bobcats and everything. Are they still reasonably priced? Because I tried looking a couple years ago, because I wanted to get the Bobcat in 25 ACP, only because my mom used to have one and she carried it, and it's more sentimental value than anything. But even back then, I could not find one at all.
Yeah, so I don't know about the Bobcats, because I haven't seen any of the new Bobcats. Like, I've only seen the older ones, which are bringing more of a price because they're old and they're more that classic. It's more for the collectors and stuff. The newer Tomcats I've seen in 32, but almost all the ones I've seen come with like that threaded barrel, and those are going for like 550, $600. I'm like, for that price, I'm not spending that on a little bit. Like, I can go buy a used 92 for that price, or almost a new 92 for that price. Like, I'm not going to spend that on a little Tomcat. Sorry.
No, never. But like I said, I would love to fucking get an old Bobcat and 25 ECP. It's just they're fucking hard to find.
They had it at the I almost picked one up when I was at that gun shop two weekends ago, because they had the they had a Tomcat, a used Tomcat in 32, but they still wanted like 450 for it or something like that. They had a new Tomcat, which was like five something. And then they had a small Bobcat, which I want to say they're selling it for $3 in 25. And then next to it, they had a Bobcat in, I want to say it was 22 short. That's why. Because if it was 22 long rifle, I probably would have picked it up. But it was 22 short. And that I think they wanted like 350 for, because that's a super old one. Super collector's item.
They still have that Bobcat and 25 ACP. I mean, if you can, I mean, you don't have to, but dude, I'd wire you some money for it and have it, you ship it from your FFL to mine.
Yeah, if I can get up there, I mean, because when I say local, like they're an hour up the road. But if I can,
you don't have to. It's just if you happen to see it.
Yeah. If I'm up there, because I want to go up there this Saturday. I'm not, but maybe on the. Depends when I get home. If I come home Sunday, I'll swing by there. If I end up coming home Saturday night, I can't. But yeah. If they next time I'm up there, because I'm trying to think. While I'm doing this next Thursday. Yeah. If I swing by there this weekend, it depends. It depends how late I'm out Saturday and stuff like that. But if I have time on Sunday, I gotta check and see if they're open actually on Sunday. But if they have it, I'll let you know.
I appreciate that, brother.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, because like I said, it's more sentimental than anything. Because even when I was a kid and shooting it with mom and dad, I would even get slide bite from it. So now my hands, twice the size when I was a teenager. But mom's passed away, and I don't know, kind of a sentimental thing.
Feeding says, I definitely want to get something more reliable, but I don't want to spend $4,000 to $600 on something. LOL. Oh, it's all good, man. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the text. What do you mean? Like, get something more reliable than the Spectrum? Because I mean, you can still pick up a good, like, if your wife's sticking to small size 380s like that, you can still pick up the LC, like a used LCP. I think even now they have the LCP Max or whatever. Those shouldn't be that much, because I know in granted, when I picked up my LCP, I think I picked up for like $200, but that was back in 2018. Yeah. But I mean, even now, like, you're probably not spending $3 on it. At least I would hope not.
I don't know what the PK 380s go for, because I bought mom's new, and it was around $5 that I paid for it. So I couldn't see them being that high still, unless it's but because it's not a really popular gun.
It wasn't a big seller,
anyway, because when I bought for her was purple, because her favorite color was purple, so I bought it in purple.
Yeah. I would, roughly, I would say you probably won't have to spend, because I mean, the last 380 I spent $400 on was my CZ83, and that's only because like it's a CZ83.
Exactly.
It was almost brand new. Like, the thing's in almost brand new condition. Came with 2 mags. Like, it's cherry. So, and that's much bigger than an LCP or a Spectrum or anything like that. So you should have no problem getting something along those lines.
Simple Dan, yeah, it's supposed to get like down to 40 here tonight, which is, kind of a out of the norm, so to speak, for this time of year, because for us it usually doesn't get that cold until at least December, January, maybe end of November at the very earliest.
Yeah, just 10B says the closest FFL to me wants $50 for me to buy something from Grab a Gun and get it shipped. Next FFL is 30 to 40 minutes away. Does that seem unreasonable? 50
And
bucks for the
that's
transfer, or are you talking like shipping and transfer? Because like if it's all combined, 50 bucks isn't bad. If it's just 50 bucks for the transfer, seems a little high for me because although I'm trying to think. Yeah, because even the one, like my closest FFL is technically right down the road, like right down the road for me. Granted, they're not really like they have some guns there, but it's more like a check cashing place. But they charge 40 bucks for transfers. I'm trying to think, like back home, and prices could have gone up because it's been so long since I've transferred a gun locally. But back home, like up north, I know the one place we used to go to, if it was person-to-person transfers, I think it was 35 bucks. If it was online, it was 30 bucks. Oh, just for transferring? Yeah, 50 bucks seems really high. So
that's
I would say spend like if it depends on what the other place wants. But if it's worth that 30, 40-minute drive, I'd say transfer there. Because I like me myself, I have a hard time spending more than 40 bucks on a transfer.
Yeah, same here. When I got my Glock transferred from AIM, the closest FFL to me that would, take it from AIM was currently in the town that I live in now. But before the town I lived in, it was at least a 30, 40-minute drive for me. And it was worth it because it was only like a $30 transfer fee, if I remember.
Yeah.
Versus 50.
Yeah. For me, like, again, I have a couple places near me, but they're all like they're hood gun shops. Like they're literally like, you walk in, there's no guns on the walls or anything. If you want to see something, you have to hop on their website and see it. It's mainly their only stuff that they're doing is doing transfers. But like the actual gun shops, those are all, I think the closest one's like 25 minutes up the road or something like that. And I have no idea what their prices are. I went to one that was like 35 minutes away. I'll never go there again because it's a shop/range, but they just overcharge out the wazoo for everything.
The funny thing about Grab a Gun, because he was talking about it, for me, that retail store is only like an hour from me.
No shit.
Yeah, no shit.
You lucky bastard.
I still haven't had time to go up there because usually when I have money, I'm not thinking about it. But I definitely want to go up there and check them out because they're a pretty big name. We're always talking about them.
Oh yeah.
And I know when he does his friend of the month stuff, it usually comes from them.
Yeah, that's true. Rough Eating, I'll get to your chat in half a second. Just want to answer just 10Bs real quick because he says he also sold me the LCP used for 400 cash. Yeah, I would, if they're selling it for 400 cash, like even if it's an LCP2 that they're selling for 400 cash, like that's insanely priced. That sounds like some of the shops I saw about a little over a month ago when I went up north. Some of the shops I hadn't been to in a while or ever been to that like they get promoted a lot on the radio and they take advantage of people coming in not knowing shit about guns and just being like, oh, this is a gun. I want a gun. This must be a good price because you have it. And you're on the radio or something. So yeah, I would say it's probably worth the drive. But to answer Raw Feeding's question or statement, random topic change. Anyone else had a friend or family member with no pews say something like, I'm coming to your house for pews if it hits the fan, and then they ask why you buy so many pews? So I'm trying to think. I don't know if I have any friends or family members that don't have any pews at all that have said that. But I've definitely had friends or family that have like one or like maybe two and are like, oh, stuff it's like they have like maybe a handgun or like maybe a shotgun. They're like, oh, if stuff hits the fan, I'm coming to your house. And then not so much of like why you buy so many pews, but more of like why you have so many ARs. Like, I have a hunting rifle and that's all I need. It's like, well, you're also coming to my house if shit hits the fan. So is it all you need?
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
but I haven't had too many of those. It's more my friends that are like, I've noticed in recent years that would never have been the types of people to be like, oh, you should, like, I've had 2 or 3 friends in the past month tell me multiple times, like, oh, you live in Philly. And I'm like, well, I live outside Philly, but I'm, close enough. Yeah, it's a 20-minute train ride. They're like, oh, like, I used to not really be all for you carrying a gun, but like, I definitely think you should now. And like, I completely understand why people carry guns and not have guns now. Or they've made the change and been like, oh yeah, I got a gun. It's like, oh, okay, well, starting to see the light. Took you a decade, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
simple Dan says I always tell them that they better not show up empty-handed. Yeah.
Exactly. And as far as his other statement, I think we've all, overpaid for a gun at least once. And it depends on how bad you want something, to be honest.
Oh yeah. I know, like, I'm trying to think back, like the last gun that I feel I was like, after I bought it, I was like, and not just buyer's remorse, I was like, I really shouldn't have spent that money. But like, oh, I way overpaid on this. I'm trying to think of like the last one I did that with.
Last one I couldn't remember, and there's a small town in Simple Dan might have heard of it. It's called Alvarado. It's just south of Fort Worth, and there's a bigger gun shop known in the area called Crazy Gun Dealer, and their shit's always a high price. You can usually get good deals on guns, but you have to buy like a holster or some ammo to go with it, which bounces out to overpaying somewhat. But I bought a 1911 from them probably 8 years ago. It was a 6-hour tac ops. It came with 4 mags, and I love that. It shot well. The only problem was like the fit and finish was off. I could not, for the life of me, keep the rear sights on. It would always start sliding either left or right from shooting. It even fell off one time during shooting. And I ended up paying a little over $1,000 for it. It was like $1,100 that I paid for it. But I loved it. It was fucking a badass gun.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like the last gun that I feel like I overpaid. I think maybe, and this is like I think I don't think I overpaid, but I don't think I got a deal on it. Like I didn't feel like I feel like I kind of like paid normal asking price for it. And it was, I bought a Shockwave off a friend of mine who needed money at the time. And it's not that he gave me a bad deal, but like he gave me like a normal, well, I think at the time was a normal deal because it was right when the Shockwaves were coming out too. So like they were the hot ticket item. I think I paid like $375 or something like that. Maybe $4. I want to say it was like $375. So I paid essentially like what he had bought it for, and he had it for a month or two. So I'm like, oh, I'm really not getting a deal on it. But when I really think about it, I think he shot it like a handful of times, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
But outside that, like, yeah, I can't think of the last time I bought a gun that I really overpaid for. Usually I get a pretty good deal on it. So,
me personally, I think I overpaid a little bit on my Bike-Hawk at Tulsa. I mean, I paid 300 beans, and I talked him down from, it was like 425. So I ended up getting a better deal, but
yeah.
To me, that old of a gun and being it's a side by side, it should have been more around 2, honestly.
Probably, but I also understand because like anything double barrel these days is stupid price, whether it should be or not. So it's kind of like it's tough.
Yeah, so I still love it. I don't regret it at all. I've wanted a double barrel since I was a kid, watching old fucking westerns and shit.
Yep, the same reason I want one is just like old western gun. Raw Feeding says, did you see the new, more accurate stats from the FBI on how often Americans use pews for self-defense? It's way higher than they've been reporting for years. I didn't, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
Um,
I haven't seen the new one, but I've known that they can't even calculate it properly because so many people don't even report like when they brandish a gun to stop crime or stop something
ex-
from happening. So
exactly. Like there's been, I mean, there's twice. No, granted, only one of those times do I think there was actually maybe it would have escalated to a crime. But the two times I've had to, like the first time I've had to pull it, the kid wasn't trying to attack me. He was just being an idiot and he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Um, but the second time, like that actually de-escalated the situation. I never called the police or anything like that because I
yeah.
didn't fully draw. Like I put my hand in my pocket and started to draw my LCP, and the guy knew what I was doing, and he's like, "Oh," and he backed off and got out of the way and shit. And so, um,
Can I address a couple comments real quick?
yeah, shoot.
Uh, Simple Dan, what do you mean by Alvarado was a town you couldn't remember last night? And also, yes, I did see your videos on the Rock Island M206, and I saw also the follow-up video that someone else posted that they ended up sending him a completely new revolver that worked just fine. So I think he just got a shit one that shouldn't have left the production line. But I still want one. I really do. It's the Rock Island M206. It looks like it's a pretty much a copy of the Colt Detective Special, like Carol has
I
in The
know.
Walking
Okay,
Dead.
yeah, I know what one you're talking about now. Yep, yep.
And, dude, I love the look of it. It's really fucking cool, and it's only a couple $100. So if it's a bad one, I can just send it in and have them replace it or sell it.
There you go. Yeah. Um,
But I was
Ohio.
thinking about doing that for my 38th birthday.
There you go. A 38 on your 38th. Do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. That makes me wonder what I can. I can't really get anything this year. I guess I could get a Glock 34 if I really wanted to, but I don't. Um, things would have been massive. Things would have changed massively in the Old West if shotguns had tubes back then. I mean, technically, you did have towards the end, you did have shotguns with tubes, but I get what you're saying. I do like, excuse me. I know Ralph Beating got that single shot. And I think I said the other night in that chat, I really want to get a single shot and get one of those old school devices that they had back in the day that it mounts to the side. Like Ian from Forgotten Weapons did a video on it. It mounts to the side, and literally it's like a tube that goes alongside your barrel that when you break it open, it pops a shell in and like loads it. It's the coolest thing ever. Like I really think someone probably has to make a reproduction of it somewhere that I could pick up. Um, I
Could
bought
you
my bike.
imagine how the Old West would be if they had fucking actual modern day pistols or fucking ARs? Shit,
Oh yeah,
AK. Oh
oh yeah.
god, man.
But I mean, think of like any war and like think of like World War One if they had modern arms, or like even World War Two for that matter. What the difference would be?
Exactly. Dude, I
Um,
still want to see that. I mean, you got me a little hyped to see that new movie, All's Quiet on the Western Front, because
dude, it looks
the first
fucking.
time I saw it was freshman year in history class, and it was one of the videos that they popped on for the current uh, topic that we were on in the book. And dude, that was a fucking great movie.
Yeah, and I heard this new one, like it's still super dark and stuff. Simple Dan says, guys, buy cock for pragmatic reasons. I have several hundred rounds of off-brand shells that won't load into my pump. You gotta do what you gotta do. I mean,
Yeah, I
that's
remember he was talking about that last night.
yeah. It's the great thing about break actions is they'll take anything.
Hmm.
Um,
Did you ever fix your issue you were having with your Vicock? Because he was having issues where it wouldn't open all the way to get the shell in or out. He'd have to force it further down to be able to do that. So I was just curious if you got it fixed yet.
Ohio Patriots says, still deciding on my 38 special for my 38th birthday in January, thinking it's a toss up between Taurus and Rock Island, whichever is cheaper and can be found. I love my little Taurus, but I also realized that I got my Taurus used for. I think I bought the 38 for. I think the 38 was 220. I think my 357 was 240. Um,
Oh
but I
shit!
realized like those prices, and again, that was back like 2018, early 2019. So I know those prices don't exist anymore.
Oh yeah.
Double action. Hell, think of the Old West if a double action revolver with speed loaders. Yeah. Thank you, Tara. The Patterson device. That's it. The one that goes next to the single shot tube. Yep. Simple Dan says, yeah, Bicock is in the shop and the Smith says it's a simple fix. That's good. Imagine the Old West with phaser set to stun. I feel like there's been a couple documentary episodes on that.
It'd be like fucking Doc Holliday with a phaser.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I'll be your Huckleberry.
Yeah, imagine like Doc Holliday with like a tuned up like Jerry Michalik, like Smith and Wesson.
Yeah. Fucking, I love Doc Holliday. The best person to ever play Doc Holliday was Val Kilmer.
Oh yeah,
that was a great fucking movie.
I love that movie. It's funny too because like being in Arizona, like I've been down to Tombstone 4 or 5 times now, and awesome. It's cool. Like the first time you go, after the first time, you're like, everyone that comes in is like, oh, let's go to Tombstone. You're like, God damn it! Like it's a 2.5 hour drive there, 2.5 hour drive back. Like you're just walking around. Like all the shops sell the same shit. Like every shop has the same shirts, the same shot glasses, the same pictures, like the same everything. So kind of like
once.
Yeah, like, well, that's the thing. Like, you go once, you spend like 6 hours there, and you've basically seen everything you need. But the one restaurant there, Old Kate's, it's actually still the same old restaurant that Doc Holliday's girlfriend or whatever owned.
Big Nose Kate?
Big Nose Kate's, yeah, Big Nose Kate's. And the food's, like, you're going for the ambiance, but they have every single TV has Tombstone playing on it all the time. All like 4 or 5 times I've been there, I've always eaten there because the only other thing to do is like leave the town, drive like 30, 45 minutes to another restaurant, eat. So everyone eats there. And I'm sure there's another restaurant in town someplace, but God knows where it is. So everyone eats there every single time that movie's been on.
Yeah, but that's such a great cult classic movie that I could never get tired of watching it. And a lot of people actually think that he says, I'll be your Huckleberry, but it's actually, I'll be your Hucklebear, which is, like the, where you carry the casket.
The Huckle, yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you're a Klingon if you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, Simple Dan. The Kevin Costner Wyatt Earp movie was a little bit more fleshed out. It just didn't have the same provenance to it. Because, I mean, yeah, you have,
and Cowboys oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go. Fire.
I was just going to say, because they're talking about Cowboys and Aliens in the chat. And that was a fun movie. It was not a good movie, but it was fun to watch.
It was fun. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. But, and we're probably going to call it here around the quarter of mark just because I know, I guarantee Matt's going to send me a link here. Something I know Matt usually has a chat going on later on. Plus, I also got to kind of get to bed at a reasonable hour tonight. But, just because I've been running around with my head off a fucking wall. I got to do the same thing tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be another long-ass day. But, rough feeding 101. My wife asked me why on the Nerf phaser. That's funny. I used to have, my ex and I, we had the Halo Nerf guns. We had the Needler, and we had the Needler, which was really cool because it rotated and it shot purple Nerf pellets. So it's like you got multiple shots in. And then you stuck extra Nerf darts in the top so they look like the needle, so you could just take them off, float them into the gun, fire them. And then I want to say it was the Nerf. It was the Nerf Magnum. That was a 2-shotter. That was cool. Nerf fights were fun.
Oh hell yeah, I loved it. Speaking of Nerf, I saw something in Discord about New York requiring to get some kind of permit to even have like airsoft guns.
I saw that too. Yeah,
They made
air
a comment
rifles.
saying, "What am I going to have a concealed weapons license to have a Nerf gun?"
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, which I mean, I'm not surprised because like Australia does. That's why I don't know if you know, but like Australia, you can't have airsoft guns. They have I think they call them like gel blasters or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because they can't like airsoft guns are outlawed. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
That, and also heard that New York is because I saw on Discord as well about the gun confiscations as far as about red flag. How they went up. I think they said something. It was like 45 per month because they had to file for a special motion, I guess, to be able to do it, and it went from 45 to like 400 a month.
Jesus, that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Bean was a good Johnny Ringo. Yep. Just 10B says Nerf guns are safer than pellet gun. One pump wars we used to play as teens.
Yeah.
I mean, they are technically safer. Yes. I mean, I used to have pellet gun fights all the time as a kid too. And then, yeah, and then the pellet guns were for outside. The Nerf guns you could do inside because you didn't have to like. Yeah, there was a chance you'd shoot like a vase or something like that, but probably wasn't going to knock it over or anything. Like you're pretty safe. And also too, like you didn't have to worry about digging through grass and like bushes and shit trying to find Nerf darts and then having to replace them. Like if they're you still lost them in the house, but you knew they were in the house. Unless like the cat or the dog or something grabbed them, then fucking who knows. But
one of the greatest videos I've ever seen about Nerf was I think I saw it on Instagram. It's where all of a sudden you see this little kid in a diaper. He's just running and it goes slow-mo and he's running in the living room towards the couch. And I'm assuming dad or somebody is shooting Nerf bullets.
Lights him up, yeah.
Yeah, and he starts getting hit and you see him just flow
back.
Like, yeah. Oh, I got hit, and he just falls and slams into the couch, and he just like bam, butt, back, head, shoulder, just like boom, 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 and he falls down like he's dead. It's fucking great.
I love the one where it's like it's playing like that song or whatever, and like the guy's slow-mo like coming over the top of the couch, and like the kid looks up and sees him, it's just like yeah. He's just like ting 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 ting. He just lights him up. It's the fucking funniest. Like the one reason I would be okay with having kids, if there was a reason, that would be is just have Nerf fights with them. Because like,
oh fuck yes,
again, like my
all the time.
Yeah, like my ex and I, when we were living together, she'd have her nieces come stay with us for a while, and like they would always team up and they'd build forts at like the end of the hallway and stuff, and they'd have Nerf fights, and it was our job to like raid the fort. And then I remember the one time, the one of them, I think she was 9 or 10 at the time. I doubt she was 11. I want to say like 9 or 10. And I used to have my plate carrier underneath my bed with my AR 500 armor in it. And she saw it. She's like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's body armor. Protects you from like bullets." She's like, "Oh, I want to wear that for the Nerf fights." I'm like, "All right." Like it's heavy. She's like, "I'm fine. I can wear it." I'm like, "Okay." So I like throw it on her shoulders, and she's like, "Oh, this is really heavy." And I'm like, "I told you." She goes to move, and just like it was like slow mo. Like she just boom, and like couldn't move. I was like, maybe let's not with this.
One of the coolest Nerf guns, I guess you'd say, I bought for my son when he was a kid. They had this fucking, it looked like a recurve bow. It was just a bow that you pull the string back and it just thumps it and it forces the air through it. Dude, that shit was so fucking cool.
We had one of those. My ex and I had like the big foam like missile, and you could launch, like you could get that thing going.
Yeah.
You
I
could
remember
launch
that
that.
too.
And then I remember we had like a crossbow one too that was pretty badass. But yeah, my growing up, like my dad never joined in with Nerf fights, but I remember one year for one of my birthdays, I want to say it was maybe my 11th birthday, we did laser tag. And I remember going in like they all standing us together and stuff, telling us the rules of laser tag and shit. And I'm there with like, I don't know, like 10 of my friends or whatever. My dad like runs off to the bathroom, comes out, and he's wearing all head to toe black and he has a balaclava on. And
Hmm.
he just goes into the dark and just disappears. I remember like he was grabbing my friends and like using them as human shields and shit. Like I was
Oh,
like,
that's
oh, this is cheating. He's like grabbing our guns and just shooting us. Like
I still have it's in the garage right now packed up still, but I have one of the original laser tag setups where it was just two like vest
yep,
you would put on, and it had the two little guns, but they look kind of like a phaser.
yep.
And uh dude, that was so much fun.
Yeah, that was we had I forget what it was called too, but we had something similar like that. It was just the vest, there's just like a pad on the front. I think there's a pad on the back too. And there was a couple like there's the blaster pistol and then there was like a rifle one. And it was just like a weird ass like old school, this like 90s laser tag. And I remember having that as a kid for a little bit.
If
Um
I could find it, I'll post pictures in the geek porn on Discord.
Hell yeah.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure I know where it's at. I just have to find it. But
Yeah,
dude,
that
that
stuff
shit was
was
so
fun.
much fucking fun.
We did I did laser tag back like oh man, this is again like 2015, 2016. There used to be a place up north of me, like from where I am now, back home that had a small. It was a pretty small field, but it was fun because it was smaller. Like there wasn't a ton of people that would go, so like you would pay, and it's like, yeah, I want to pay for a round of laser tag, and they're like, okay, and you pay your money, and there's like no one's here. Like you can just keep going. And so you just like it'd be like my ex, myself, maybe one of my buddies, and then like 10 kids, and you're just running around for like hours. And like it was a blast. Like you're just sitting there like smoking them and using actual tactics while they're just running around like, like in the middle of the open, you're running cover to cover.
Yeah. I miss the fucking 90s. It was great.
it
Now,
was it was a good time.
I wish we had more of the cool shit like the kids do. Even growing up in the early 2000s and mid 2000s and everything, as far as like the little Tonka trucks and shit that you could ride around that
Yeah,
are battery powered, or just other cool shit. We didn't have a lot of that stuff when we were growing up.
I know, like as like growing up in the '90s, I know we had I know we had a Power Wheels Jeep for a little bit until like the battery died, and then we just never replaced it. And then we had a like Power Wheels like ATV. I remember for a while. Um, but yeah, like kids these days, I mean, they have a lot of cool toys, but then I look back and I'm like, oh, there's some cool toys we had in the '90s that they didn't have. There's also some shit that I'm like, it was definitely designed to kill kids, like pogo sticks and those stupid like jumpy balls or whatever. Like you'd put it on
Oh,
your ankle and like
yes, I hated those. They were like a hop skip or whatever it was called.
yeah, whatever the fuck it is. Like that's definitely just yeah,
Do you remember those ones that were, they almost look like Saturn, to be honest? It was a round ball, but it had like a disc that went around it. And it was meant that you were supposed to like clench your feet together and you could bounce and jump on it and
yep,
everything. Oh
yep,
my God,
no,
those are ankle breakers.
death, yep, that's just death, yep.
Fuck that. I was reading some comments, that's why I was laughing. Fucking Justin B says, planning on cheating. He has a Nerf dog gun that shoots tennis balls. Dude, that fucking, that is major cheating, man.
That's
That's wrong, but funny.
that's the equivalent of like a 40 mic.
Exactly, yeah.
Simple
And
thing. Yeah, as a Nerf ghillie suit. I mean, I would. Uh, USPS is making RGB stamp. Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah,
I did paintball. I did paintball when I got older. I got into paintball.
I did when I was a young teenager, or I'd say young adult is what I mean. And I actually have a Tipman that looks like a fucking MP5. And then I got another one a little more advanced, and it had a electronic trigger.
Yeah.
So you could like, double finger the trigger and do it real fast. And dude, you just fly those fuckers out. Yep. I still have them.
Justin B says, was kicked out of laser tag in 10th grade in Reno during summer vacation for being a tacky tart asshole. Yep. I would not be surprised if I got kicked out. So when we were in Arizona, we did a laser tag one time. We did laser tag and we did airsoft. Airsoft was really fun because that was another thing. Like when I did the indoor airsoft arena, I was expecting a lot more adults, and there was a lot of kids doing that. And so it was like, oh, this is like spicy laser tag. It's not as spicy as paintball, obviously, but still like you feel bad because there's little kids just kind of like running around with this like M4 and they're like barely able to hold it when they're shooting. They're like shooting like this. And you're just sitting there like, I'm going to pie this corner and pop. Like, sorry, Junior, that you just caught like 5 rounds to the face. But I think I'm probably going to call it here, guys, just because I know Matt's chat's coming up and I want to be able to, I'm sure he's having a chat, and we've been going for almost 2 hours. So, but I want to thank everyone for showing up. Thank you for the support. I really do appreciate it. If you want to like, comment, share, if you want to talk about stuff next week, throw down in the comments what you want to talk about, or, message me on Discord, whatever. I think I have it linked in the description, my Gmail. If, a topic comes up for next week, you want to fire it over, do so, and we'll definitely chat it up. But,
yeah, thanks for having me on, brother. It was a good chat.
Oh, absolutely. Always a good time. So hopefully this relax some people and ease some stresses in life. And I will see you on whatever next chat we all end up joining on. So
yeah. See you later, guys.
Have a good one all.
Later.